Through time, great products have defined great brands like the iPhone to Apple, Mickey Mouse to Disney, and the Air Jordan to Nike. Now for us supercar aficionados, we have an equivalent, and it's this, the Lamborghini V12. For over 60 years, the V12 did not just define the Lamborghini brand, it defined the supercar world as a whole. It started with the Miura, the car that birthed the supercar as we know it today, a car so outlandish that it was the toy of choice for all of the world's pop culture icons such as Frank Sinatra, Elton John, and Eddie Van Halen. So where does Lamborghini go from there? Enter the Countach, a car that transcended the world of cars and became the pop culture icon. Throughout the 70s and 80s, every child fell asleep staring at the Countach poster on their walls, dreaming of what it was like to pull down the iconic scissor doors and drive off into the sunset in a pantomime of speed and noise. The 90s brought us the Diablo with technical innovations such as the first applications of all-wheel drive and carbon fiber, innovations that are still evolving to this day. On top of that, the Diablo graced the public conscience in movies like Dumb and Dumber and Exit Wounds, not to mention being the car of choice of Donald Trump. In 1998, a new era began for Lamborghini when it was purchased by Audi. Many suspected that Audi's influence would mean leaps and bounds in terms of technology and performance for the Diablo's successor, and a few years later, that's exactly what happened. Named the Murcielago, it was an instant hit, just like its predecessors. While it was named after a fighting bull, Murcielago is also the Spanish word for bat. No wonder Bruce Wayne had two of them. Once the Murcielago went out of production in 2010, Mr. Wayne needed a new car. Luckily for him, a new V12 icon was born, the Aventador, which took Lamborghini's V12 platform beyond the supercar category, pitting it against some of the most expensive and technologically advanced hypercars the world had ever seen. With its carbon fiber monocoque and Formula One-like pushrod suspension, the Aventador platform evolved into a Nürburgring lap record holder, beating the Porsche 918 hypercar by over 12 seconds around the famed German toll road. Not only did the Aventador, particularly later models, have a lot of show, but they also had a lot of go to back up that timeless styling. And that brings us to now, 2024. Times are changing and electrification is imminent. To respond to this, Lamborghini has built a brand new V12 hybrid, and I think that the future of the brand is very bright. And in this case, it's bright orange. Welcome everyone to the Lamborghini Revuelto, the newest model in a long line of iconic V12 battle cruisers. To make the Revuelto an icon, it must follow three specific criteria of attributes that are cornerstones of Lambo's past, and the first of which is this, the V12. Now for the Revuelto, Lamborghini has designed an all-new V12, which is an evolution of the Aventador V12. It is still a 6.5-liter engine, but it has several improvements, including this brand new exhaust system, which is designed to decrease back pressure at high revs and just flow a lot easier. And it actually gives it a whole new sound compared to the Aventador. Other improvements to the V12 include a whole new intake system, new valve train, and new oil and water cooling systems, which overall help the Revuelto V12 save 70 pounds compared to that of the Aventador, and makes 35 more horsepower compared to that of the Aventador Ultime. And my favorite of the improvements that Lamborghini made to this engine is that it now revs to 9,250 RPM, which is, well, that's incredible. But of course, this is a hybrid. The V12 doesn't tell the whole story. In conjunction with the 6.5-liter V12, there are 3 electric motors on board, 1 in the back, 2 up front, and in the back we have a brand new 8-speed dual clutch transmission in conjunction with the electric motor. And in the front, 2 additional electric motors powering the front wheels, and all this together, the Revuelto makes a combined output of 1,001 brake horsepower, which is the same as a Bugatti Veyron, which propels this car to 60 in under 2.5 seconds and a top speed north of 217 miles per hour, which is hypercar territory. And the second thing a V12 Lamborghini needs to back up that amazing powertrain is some styling, something that belongs on a poster in a child's bedroom, and I can happily say that this car has style. I don't think there's a single bad angle on this Revuelto, especially in this new color, Arancia Opotis, which is the launch color for the car, and it is a $22,000 option, but my goodness, does this thing shine in the sunlight. This thing, oh my gosh, I love this color. I particularly love the front end of the Revuelto. I think it looks just fantastic. A lot of it reminds me of the Sion, the one of 63 from a few years ago. Quite a bit of Aventador in the design as well, but in the design, there's a lot of function as well. You can see the radiators here that assist in brake cooling and on-track performance, and I just love the headlights here, or the DRLs, I should say. It just looks insane, and at nighttime this has got to look absolutely killer. And even more Lambos of the past are honored in the rear of the car. If we come down here to the taillights are very much inspired by the Centenario of 2016, so that is really cool. And the whole rear design in general is very much reminiscent of the Diablo from the early 90s. So it is super cool to see brand new Lamborghinis honoring heritage from 30 years ago and even a few years ago as well. And I think that brings a whole new meaning to the Revuelto because it gives a lot of identity to the brand from all different eras. Like a transformer, there's more to this design than meets the eye. I mean, look at these buttresses here. This is one of my favorite parts of the design. Very 4GT-esque, and it's very functional in channeling air across the top of the car and feeding it to this rear wing here. I mean, just this part of the design is one of my favorites, and it's just part of what makes this design just super, super cool, not just in looks, but also performance. And while we're on my favorite elements of the design, I want to talk about the third brake light. You can't see it right now because it's bright out, but it follows the roof line here and also doubles as sort of a red mood lighting for the engine when it's dark out. Now, that in and of itself is just complete Lamborghini. I love that. Just makes it feel like a spaceship. And when you look at the side of the car, you can see that it is, well, quite beautiful from the side as well. And the Revuelto is actually 6 inches longer than the Aventador, but it is just as wide and just as tall. So it's a very familiar shape. The wedge design is very much the same as Lambos of the past, but it is still its own thing, and it has its own proportions that give the Revuelto its own identity. Of course, for a V12 Lambo to be a V12 Lambo, it's got to have the iconic scissor doors. Now, these doors are new for the Revuelto, even though they still go up like Lambos of the past. They actually go out more compared to that of the Aventador, the Murcielago, Diablo. So it is actually easier to get in and out of, you know. And while we have the doors open, I want to talk about the third thing that makes a V12 Lamborghini iconic, and it is a crazy interior to match the amazing exterior. And let me just say, this interior is absolutely fantastic. Lamborghini themselves admit that they want you to feel like a fighter pilot when you're piloting the Revuelto. And while this might not be an F-22 Raptor, it certainly does the part. Like, come and check out the hexagons here, very much part of Lamborghini's design language right now. And it's a lot of it in the car, on the seats, on the headliner here, and it's just absolutely spectacular. I love the orange interior as well to match the exterior. And something that's also very fighter pilot-esque is all of the controls on the steering wheel. You can control a lot. So right here you can control the power delivery, so if you want to be in EV mode or hybrid mode or with the engine on, you can control that from this dial right here. And then moving over here, this is the driving mode, so Sport, Corsa. You could also do like around town mode, something quieter. Down here is the front lift system that lifts the car up whenever you're going over bumps. And right here is a manual control of the rear wing, which is always awesome. Also new in the Revuelto is this brand new 12.3-inch screen in front of the driver, which relays a lot of information as you're going along, as well as this 8.3-inch touchscreen that controls the AC, a lot of the radio functions, a lot of the stuff you do in the car, as well as this 9-inch slim screen here that can be controlled by the passenger that also relays a bunch of information like top speed or whatever you guys are doing in the car, or the radio, whatever's on. And this integrates all with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. So this is a very smart Lamborghini on top of very functional. So it's just a really cool system that I'm glad is in the Revuelto. And check out that view in the rearview mirror of the V12. I mean, as far as views go, that's pretty cool. And of course, one of the most iconic parts of modern Lamborghinis is the start button. Very much like a fighter jet pertaining to that theme. Flip it up, press the button, and the car starts. And on top of all this, the Revuelto is actually very practical. I mean, check out the size of this trunk space in here. Part of it is being taken up by the battery charger right now, but this is a huge space for a car that has 2 electric motors in the front. If you compare this to, say, a Ferrari SF90, that the trunk is like maybe this deep, this is an incredible feat for Lamborghini, and it's actually really cool that they had this in mind when packaging this all. All this being said, I believe the Revuelto has what it takes to be the next V12 icon from Lamborghini. From the outrageous styling that it belongs on a poster on a child's wall, let's be honest, with the iconic wedge shape and all the amazing angles and the triangles and the hexagons. It's just an incredible design inside and out, and it's just so cool. To the V12 that gives it its own identity, it revs higher, it has its own sound, and the hybrid drivetrain, which very much future-proofs the V12. I think Lamborghini's future is very bright. And on top of that, every new Lamborghini has had leaps and bounds of improvements in technology and performance over their previous iterations. And with this car, from the new V12 and the hybrid system and the exorbitant amount of performance on tap, I believe that Lamborghini has made a big leap with this, and they've nailed the landing. I cannot wait to see more of these out in the open, and I can't wait to see what people do with them. Can't wait to see the crazy specs, even though this is probably one of my dream specs already. I can't wait to see the future that this car has. The future is very bright, and with it being hybrid, it very much keeps the dream alive. It keeps the V12 alive, and it keeps the dream of the Lamborghini alive for people all over the world. And of course, I would like to give a huge thank you to Lamborghini of Downers Grove for letting me shoot their Revuelto today. It's been a huge honor getting to be one of the first people in the US to post a full-on video of one of these on YouTube. Now, these guys are just amazing. They've been amazing throughout the whole process, so huge shout out to them. But if you did enjoy this video, remember to like and subscribe. And until next time, guys, this was me, Patrick, the King of Cars. Thank you for watching. Take care. That's how you know we're in the Midwest. The cicada has invaded the Lamborghini.